Alright, welcome back. It is Autodesk 3ds Max 2018 YouTube Classroom. This is video number 20. This is quarter 1, week 5, day 1. This is sub-object modeling practice. Today we are going to make the sword blade of something we have some concept art. So here's our concept art. I'm going to pull it over here. So this is Link, who I have no copyright on, but this is Nintendo's Link, and you can see his sword over here is like a silverish white blade with a gold or brass sort of cross handle with a little bit of, like, I don't know, some place where the silver blade sticks into the brass, like, cross guard. And then you can't see the handle, but this is what we're going for. So what I did is I went ahead and made some concept art. And what's important about concept art, if you're ever into making it, is you want to make sure that the art is equal on all sides. So therefore, the length from here to here is the same as in the front view and the left view, and this width here is the same in the top and the bottom. Okay, now I've also put how big the actual art is, so it makes it easier to work with. Now, last time in video 19 we set up our environment, so now you should have your layers all set up. You've got modeling and reference layers, and your reference layers have all this stuff on it. So if I'm over here and hit F for front, I see my fuchsia layer back there, and I've got everything pretty much set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my art here, and I'm going to go in here and hit M for materials. Now my material setup, I'm going to need some more space. I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to call this, let's call it reference. Ooh, too many R's. Reference material. There. Whoop. IAL. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. Now for diffuse, I'm going to click on this little box, and I'm going to go to maps, bitmap, okay. And then I'm going to go to the folder where I have this thing, which is in classes, 3D, 18, YouTube files, practice 1. Okay, CA. Okay, here's our weapon CA. Good, I'm going to open that up, and it's going to automatically attach to that. And that is now our new bitmap. And I can take this, and I can drag it on to my rear view image here. Now, I'm going to make sure I attach that, and I'm going to make sure it shows in viewport. And now it's going to think about it, and there we go. Looks like I accidentally attached it to there. We don't want that. Okay, cool. So you can see that my art is actually pretty messed up. Okay, that's not how we want it to look. All right, what we really want is we want the art to be 850 pixels wide, which is not that, but here. So 850, boom, by how many pixels tall? 1100. 1100, boom. All right, so this is the default layer. This is how it should look in every view. So I'm going to bring up my material editor one more time. I'm going to make sure this material is selected. Now I'm going to go into my left view, click on that, and then apply like that. And then I'm going to change the length to 1100 and the width to 800. Or yeah, that's right? Yeah. Yeah. 11. Or it's 8. Is it 800 or 850? 850. Whoops, my bad. 850. Did I do that on the other one too? Let's check. That's left, so this is front. Let's double check. 850, good. And top is also going to be the same thing, so I can still have this. I'm going to apply using that button. It should be there. And now I'm going to change it to 1100 by 850. Okay, now this time it's a little bit wonky. It's the wrong direction. We'll deal with that in a second. Okay, so for now it doesn't really matter. We're going to resize it. Now, as long as we know that it's 1100 by 850, in every direction, and we know it's rectangular, so if it looks close, then it should be fine. We should also double check to make sure all of our settings are good, because honestly that doesn't look quite right. Let's double check our viewports. Performance is good, view cube is off, statistics are good. Okay, good, everything's set up. So now from the front view, we are going to set the size of our sword. All right, now I'm just going to say that my sword is going to be roughly 1 meter long. Okay, it doesn't really matter. We could look up swords on Wikipedia and find out that they're roughly 3 feet, which is a little longer than this, but it looks short in the concept art that I had, so I'm just going to go with 1,000 centimeters. So from the front view here, all right, we know the front view is going to be the sharp version, but the front view, I'm going to go ahead and scale it this way in, because we know it's going to be skinny, but we know it's going to be exactly that tall. Now from the left view, we know the left view is going to be a little bit fatter, so I'm going to adjust the length, so it's about like that, and that's rough estimates. Now from here, I'm going to choose my left view. Let's just go, actually let's go front. So I'm going to select the front view. I'm going to actually scale it down. Make sure you're scaling it the right way. If you have it select and squash, that'll be bad. So make sure it's select and uniform scale. We are going to scale this whole thing down until the front view roughly fits. I want to turn S for snapping, turn that off. I want the whole sword to fit in that space. Let's see where we're at there. These come down a little more. A little more. Okay, that looks about right. And now I'm going to try and line it up so it's perfectly aligned like that. Now I'm actually going to take my box and shift it down some, because I want the cross guard to sit right at 0, 0. So that the blade itself and the cross guard come out right there, and then I'm going to move this art over just so it perfectly lines up with the center line, or at least I'm going to try and get it there. I'll move my box down. This I'm actually moving the box, and by moving the box I can adjust other things like how wide it is, because really looks like I only want the blade hilt to be roughly 5 centimeters, because that looks good. And my length, which is W, this direction. Actually, from the left view, from the front view, let's get back to the one that's sized properly. So if I select this and I hit sorry, you can see 9.5, let's go 9.55. That's how much it was sized down. So on the left view, I'm going to click this and click 9.55 and hit enter. From the top, I'll click this and do the same thing, 9.55. Cool. Now, we'll get to the top here in a second. This is the top view, which means, hit W, I'm going to rearrange the art so it fits properly. Get that set up. So left view, we know that the left view is going to be set up, but the art itself also still has to line up perfectly with the grid. Remember, we said that we wanted the cross guard to sit right perfectly at 0, 0, 0. So it's going to line up there, and this is going to come over. Now I'm actually moving the image yet first. So that's that. Now when I select the box itself, I'm going to scale it this way so it fits like that. Now that that's set up, the front, so that's the left, because if you slice somebody, that would be the left side of the sword. So F for front, you can see that it's pretty perfect. I'm actually going to make sure that it's set maybe down here, -20. Cool. And then the art looks like it's going to be good. All right, cool. Left view, art looks good. Looks like the tip stops right where it should. And then the top view, if I lined everything else up, the top view should be pretty close. And it does seem to be pretty close. So that's good. It is 9.55. And the thing is, though, we need to make sure that our art, you see the dark line is running straight through perfectly. And I think we're in pretty good shape. I might move it up just a hair. There. Cool. Okay, cool. So now our art is set up. Because if I hit front, that's aligned. If I hit left, the box is aligned. If I hit top, everything's aligned. That's what we need. So now what I want to do is freeze all my reference views. So now I can no longer grab them. See, if I want to, doesn't matter. Now because of that, I'm done with this. I can hide that layer, and now I can get to work. Now today we're only going to work on the blade itself, but once the art is set up, we're just going to get the blade and the cross guard. Okay, the handle will do tomorrow, and then all the smoothing stuff we'll do tomorrow as well. But we can start with this box. Okay, now first things first, we know that this box is going to need at least one edge, because you can see the sword has an edge down the center, and because of that we're going to start with that. So I'm going to right click, convert to an editable poly, grab edges, grab that edge, loop, insert loop. That gives me a perfect line down the center. Okay, now because we're making something that's symmetrical, and because of the nature of how this works, I'm going to try and keep everything symmetrical as we go, but we'll see how things finally work out. I'm hitting vertices. I'm going to hit W and move that up to there. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to break out and sort of look at how this blade is going to be made. Now we know we want all of these points to come to a sharp tip, and we know that on the edge we're going to want this to be also sharp. So what we can do is grab vertices like this and like this, and we can weld these together. If you go to weld down here and you say, okay, I want to weld these together, you can just crank this up until they snap. When they snap, you're in good shape. So now we've got like a, I don't know, some sort of buster sword looking thing, which is kind of what we were going for. We can even do the same thing here too. We can weld, hit settings, and there we go. So that's kind of weird. It's really pointy. From the left view, double click that, make sure it's on. So from the left view, good. From the front view, you can see that our edges, I can move them in now. So I can hit R. I'm going to scale these in like this, like there. Okay, cool. Now you'll notice that my sword actually is thicker up until about here. So what I need to do is I need to create a loop that goes all the way through there, all the way around those entire sections. So loop, insert loop. All right. So now I'm going to use that as the point here where that's going to change. So this, I'm just going to hit W and slide these up to where that goes. Then I'm going to marquee select the left and right vertices and move those up to roughly about where that is. And then I'm going to hit all of them and hit R and pull them all in like that. And I'm going to take all these and pull these guys in like this. And I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to scale all of them in like that. So I'm starting to get this sort of blade look to what I want. So that's left. I'm going to hit F for front. Now I know I want this to be a little fatter, so I'm going to bring these out like that. And left view, I should have the sort of shape I'm looking for. Now what I don't have is here, and we're going to use a different tool. I'll hit P for perspective so we can see these. So I've got these three tips, and I want this to be sharp. Now there's a couple ways I can do this. I could just take this top point, hit W, and move it up. That would work. That would give us 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. That's actually not a terrible way to do this, but if I want to, I could actually weld these together. I can use something called target weld. Target weld allows me to take an edge, a point like this, and weld it to a different point. Target weld from here to there, and from here to there. And if I hit Q and select this, I should have one vert selected. So I've got one sharp vertice selected. There we go. Cool. So that's the shape I'm looking for. Now down here we have like a brass section that sort of sticks out. Now there's two ways we could do this. We could create a separate piece for this crossguard, which we probably will, and then we could extrude out, or what we could do is create a loop through here, grab those edges. So I grabbed all of those edges, and I'm going to go loops, insert loop. Now that's going to give me this loop all the way up here, which is a little weird. If I marquee select, I grab vertices, marquee select, left view, I'm going to hit R, and now make sure you have select in non-uniform scale. Alright, but make sure it's not select and squash. And I'm going to grab the y-axis and pull down. And I'm going to drag down a bunch, like that. Alright, so what I've done is I've moved these all down so they align with each other. I'm going to get the right type, make sure I marquee select that, pull them all down. Now, I can go W, pull that down to there, hit R, bring it into there. Now this I can go out a little bit with, just a little bit. Cool. Okay, cool. So now what I've got is like this little like section out here that's a little bit wider on the bottom or straight. Either one would work. If you want them to be straight and aligned, you could grab them, the vertical ones, grab along X and then scale them in, and they will align together because I'm grabbing them along X. So now these are all perfectly aligned. So what I can do now is from the front view, I can hit the number 4 and get to planes, and I'm going to zoom in here. Actually, I'm going to go number 1, get back to my verts, because I want this to be like this. I want this to be in like that, because I want it to be in a little bit further, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude out. But I do want these to be aligned. So I can align them by smoothing them out along X to make sure they are perfectly aligned together. So they are perfectly horizontal to one, vertical to one another. I hit number 4. I'm going to marquee select all of these edges. You should have 4. You should have 8 tries total because you have 4 polys. Now what I'm going to do on this side is I'm going to extrude. Alright, now there's a bunch of different ways to extrude, and if it does weird stuff right away, that's okay. We are going to extrude by local normal. Alright, and what that does is it shoots it out a bunch of different ways, and we don't want it that far. We're just going to extrude it out just a little bit, like, let's say 0.1 centimeters. Sure, let's do that. Now, from the left view, it's very, very subtle, right? But what we can do now is hit W, pull it down, and that gives us a little, just a little bit of metal that we can now make our own section. Now, because we're making an interactive application, I'm going to hit 4 and I'm going to select all of this stuff on the bottom and delete it. So now I've got a hole on the bottom. This is cool because from the top view, we're worried, we want to make sure that it looks good, but we're not too concerned about like how it's actually going to lay out. We know that it's going to have like that little brass section around the bottom, but we're not too, let me double click that so you can see it. So you can see right through here, he's got that little brass part that's part of the hilt that holds the blade. So we're gonna, that's what we made. Now, the next thing we need to do is from the top view, I'm actually going to create a new cube. Alright, and I'm not too concerned about it right now. Alright, cool. I just created a box. It doesn't really matter. If you want to get fancy, it was 19.72 length, width is 4.7, and height is 2.46. But it doesn't really matter because we're just sort of getting the rough general shape of what we wanted. Now, this is where it starts to get closer to what we actually want and where we're going to start making it smarter. I'm going to right click, convert it to editable poly, and I realize you may be like, whoa, you're going really fast. I get that, but you just pause the video whenever you need to. Mostly this will take you about a day, and it should take me about 20 minutes, give or take. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on both sides at the same time, and I'm going to hit top view and see what I've got. I'm going to hit R from the top, and I'm going to scale it to right about there. I'm going to hit W, make sure I go back to the object, and I'm going to make sure it is positioned at 0, 0, 0. By placing it 0, 0, 0, now I know exactly that I'm on 0, 0, 0, and I can adjust things from there. So once I have that roughly positioned, I'm going to go back in. Oops. Select that. Go here. Grab my verts. And just the top ones, I'm going to scale them so I can see them. And now I'm going to scale. Actually, I'm going to throw another material in, or change the color of this thing because it's ugly. Okay, there. It's closer. So what I'm going to do now is grab the edge. Grab this center edge. Loop. Insert loop. That should put it right on the center. What I'm trying to do is, without extra loops, there's no way I can get this thing to be smooth, and that's what I want. So I'm going to grab the vertices on the outside only on both sides. If I hold control while I marquee select, that's how I do that. And I hit R, and I can adjust where my edges are. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to grab the outside outside faces. You can either select them like this and then hold control and select the other one, or you can, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but eventually you want both on the ends there. All right, from the left, I'm going to now extrude, and we're going to go by polygon this time. All right, and I'm going to go just out a little bit. Click OK. Now I'll go by 2 centimeters, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to readjust. Hit the check mark, hit the left view, and now I'm going to adjust each one of these faces. I'm going to adjust them along the y-axis, and then from the top view, I'm going to adjust them along the x-axis until I get them right where I want them. I'm going to go back to the vertex, grab the center vertex, move it out some, and then I'm going to grab these, and I'm going to move those out to the edge. Notice I'm moving both at the same time, and now I'm going to move them in on X. Left view. Alright, cool. I can even bring them down some more, like that. There. So that's roughly the shape I'm looking for. Cool. Now, hit M for materials. Grab your standard modeling material and apply it to your object, and you're basically done. From the top, I have my outline, I have the object itself, looks pretty good. From the left, it's going through the art, looks pretty good. I'm going to hit number 1, make sure I grab my object editable poly, number 1. I'm going to also, what's going on? Can't grab my verts. Make sure nothing's weird. Deselect that, grab this. Alright, let's see. Sometimes I find it gets stuck, and I don't exactly know why. It gets stuck in this weird selection mode, and like it should be a window crossing. It seems to be a 2018 problem, and I don't know why it does that. You can see down here, oftentimes selection lock toggle will be set, and that can be extremely frustrating if you think that's the problem. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be the case. I'm going to restart real quick and see if that saves it. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. It seems to be working now. Sometimes if it gets frozen and you can't select things, save your work, start it back up, and it seems to fix it. 3DS 2018 has been kind of buggy so far. We'll see if they clean some of that stuff up. But anyway, back to what I was doing. You have now everything's working properly. All you need to do now is save it. Okay, another thing I should have mentioned when we were going through the layers, be careful, because whatever your active layer is where things are going to be created. So you'll notice that lights is where this box and all of my stuff is actually created. My modeling, my starting cube is on the modeling, but my box 1, which is this section here, is here. So what I need to do is move that into this other layer. So I'm going to select, I'm going to go back here, select this and this, and I'm going to right click the modeling layer, and I'm going to put that object in the layer. Alright, so add selection to that pick there. So what I've done is I've added to a new layer, and I could pick, and so now everything's in the modeling layer, which is what I wanted it in. So this little highlight box shows you what things will be built in. So last time I made lights so lights was the default layer that everything was created in. That's a problem. It should definitely be modeling, not lights, and we'll fix that with our max start file here in a second. But for now, this is done. So you should be able to go into this, make sure, hit Q. I'm gonna hit Q until I get back to my old setup. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna call this M underscore handguard. Cool. And then this I'm going to call M underscore blade. Cool. Now I can go to File, Save As, and we are going to save this in whatever folder you've been working on for this one, which you probably haven't done anything yet, but I'm going to go 3D, YouTube Files. I'm calling it Practice 1. I'm going to call this Blade 1. Hit Save, and yes, I'm going to replace it because I just had to redo it. All right, cool. Now, this is done. This is saved, and everything here is good. So I'm going to, actually, I'm going to exit because we saved it. I already saved it, so I don't need to save it again. And now this time, I'm going to, in a way, open it up again. I'm going to just open up because what I want to do is I want to fix that max start, and I want you to fix it too. So I'll come back when this is. All right, we're back. It loaded up, and this is what I have. Now remember, the problem was in my layer tab. So I'm going to click on this, and the problem was that lights was selected. I want it to be the modeling layers selected, and that's really what I want. So that's good. To save this, all we got to do is go to File, Save As, and then I'm already stuck in scene, so I'm going to save it as max start in the right scene. I'm going to overwrite it, and that should fix all of my problems. So now your max start is fixed as well, so that your modeling layer is set as the default layer. When you create something, that's where it will show up. So if I just create a box, you'll see it starts there. Whatever one this blue light or this blue stack is set to, that's where it's going to show up, and we want to make sure that we set it in the right proper thing. So that's done. You've got your sword blade, and I will see you tomorrow when we finish our handle for our sword, and then we do a little bit of model cleanup, and then we render it out and then show it off. All right, well, I'll see you next time.